So I'm going to get that cough in before the recording started, but this is our second episode of Fun Films Podcast. I'm really excited. We're going to take turns picking movies, I think. We're kind of trying to show each other movies that we love. I caught this one over the summer. We're going to do In the Line of Fire today. I'm extremely excited because when I watched this movie, like over the summer, I would do this half the time with the movie, especially if I've seen it. I was like, I'd be like doing my Fun Football Podcast stuff or whatever. And the last 40 minutes, I had the phone. I remember having the phone in my hand and I wasn't even looking at it. I was just doing this for the last like 45 minutes because this is one of those movies I thought that got stronger the longer it went, which is rare because usually sometimes movies fall apart a little bit in the second half. But obviously I'm Izac with Fun Films Pod. Brad, I'm really curious your thoughts. You saved them for this, which is really cool. I appreciate it. Just give me your initial thoughts on the movie. In the Line of Fire, 1993, Clint Eastwood, John Malkovich, another mono movie, kind of like our first one. What'd you think?
My boring answer is that it was good-ish.
See, what's funny is that's what I think of Crimson Tide. I just love Denzel so much, but the reason I wanted you to watch it is I was really impressed with John Malkovich and Clint Eastwood. And I thought Clint Eastwood, like it's a typical Clint Eastwood role, but it allowed him to stretch just a little. And the cat and mouse game with Malkovich was awesome. Like that's the John Malkovich role I've always wanted to see. Like I've seen him in a lot of good movies and I've missed some of his great ones. And this was one of them. He got nominated for an Oscar for it. And I'm not surprised because without him, I don't think the movie works at all.
Yeah, John Malkovich was like sort of carrying it.
He kind of was. Like I really liked the Eastwood role, but it wouldn't have worked without the villain. Like as good as Eastwood was, and I've seen him in better roles, actually far better, even though I really like him in this role. It doesn't work without the villain, without the palpable tension that it's building towards. It's not like one of my absolute favorite movies I've ever seen, but it will be one I'm going to remember mainly because of Malkovich's role. I think that was like, we're going to get into it, but that was one of the best parts of the movie. I've got a lot of good questions and stuff for you. Why do you say good-ish? Did you think the movie was lacking outside of Malkovich?
Yeah, basically. So, I mean, I liked any parts where I liked all of John Malkovich, basically. I liked any time Clint Eastwood was interacting with John Malkovich. Okay. But half the movie was Clint Eastwood like flirting with Rene Russo, and I really did not care for any of that.
I kind of liked it actually. Like the best parts were they had to give you breaks between the Malkovich phone calls or you see more and more of Malkovich in the flesh, like doing things rather than just talking to him on the phone, although those are some of the best parts of the movie. But I don't know, I kind of like the romance, even though he's way too old for her. But
too old for it. And like the sort of like flirting was just like, was that supposed to be good at the time? At the time this movie came out, was that like, oh man, he's suave? Or
I wrote that down. It's very 1993. The way he just flirts on her now, that'd be you'd be getting called in by HR if you did that at work.
Yes.
That's funny you brought that up because I said very 1993. And I listened to a pod a month-ish ago about this. I think back in like July. I was actually July. And that was one of the things they said was it's very 1993. The way he flirts with her and he just tries to write it off as, does she have a sense of humor?
Yeah. What does he say? He's like, it's a secretary. That's the one. He calls her a secretary. And then he's like, I was just checking this. Like, I don't even know if that was just a cover up. Like in the script, it's like, oh, you're just covering your ass by being like, oh, I was just joking.
But yeah, it's okay. He was just kidding. By the way, do you like what do you think? Do you like the shirt? I gotta get a Fun Films one. I'll get one eventually, but I just got one. You like it?
That's awesome. Fun
football. On the back, I'll flip it over in a minute, but it's got a barcode with the stuff on the back. So it's like I need to wear it in a public place because now kids over here they can't use their phones at school, so the barcode kind of useless, but it's still, I think it's fun. Nice. So the reason I wanted you to see it was I really appreciated the direction by Wolfgang Peterson. He didn't go on to have like, that was one of his last really good movies, actually. He does Air Force One, which was fun. and then Bicentennial Man, The Perfect Storm. Troy was his last big movie, and then Poseidon. This was kind of him at his best. He did Das Boot, but he did Outbreak as well. But I think this was, of those movies listed, I like Troy, but I think this was probably his best movie. He died a few years ago. He hadn't done anything in like the last 15, 20 years. But I also thought it was a cool role for Clint at the end of his prime. Like it's post prime Eastwood, but he's still young enough to do the stuff in the movie. But I like that they were honest about it and played on his age. They even do the cardiac arrest scene, which was, that'd be another HR incident now in 2025. There's so much stuff that was so 1993 about the movie. But you had told me you liked the other reason I picked it is from our last one where we did Crimson Tide. Mm-hmm. You said you like movies from the 90s. So I was like, okay, this one's kind of a gem. It's not The Fugitive, which is superior, just frankly. But I did appreciate how the tension built to the final act. I like movies that do that. Crimson Tide did the same thing where it's building and you don't know if they're going to launch the nuke or not. It's all building to that. And then the movie pretty much just ends after. The climax is like less than 15 minutes before the end of the movie, or maybe like 8 minutes, honestly. This like resolved itself, and then there's like 2 or 3 scenes after, and that's it. Right. Like it's just done. Once Malkovich dies, spoiler alert, sorry, it's been out for 30 years. But once it hits that climax and he throws himself in front, which had to do with the whole story, the movie just ends like Crimson Tide. Did you like the way it built, or did you just want more Malkovich the whole time?
I like the way it built. There was a few things during the building that, I don't know, it just didn't work for me. Like near the climactic moment, he is like in the last minute before he dives in front and takes the bullet to the Kevlar vest or whatever. He's like, the pieces are coming together. And like the one that stands out to me most is he's like, give me the seating chart. I need the seating chart. And after he checks the seating chart and goes, oh, the guy's right there. He just looks up and like literally Malkovich is standing right in front of him. It's like, you really needed to like check the seating chart? Like I don't know. There was a lot of people in the room.
Yeah.
Because this whole thing was about like the eyes and the eyes don't lie and whatever. And I don't know. You think he could have just looked around the room, and it was too detective-y for the last. He didn't have time to be checking the seating chart, but whatever.
No, I agree. There was, what's funny is I think it got, let me check it out. I think it actually got nominated for a screenplay, and I appreciated some of the writing a lot. I liked it more than you did. Like, I think you liked Crimson Tide even more than I do, even though I really appreciate that movie too. Yeah, I got a best original screenplay and film editing, and then Malkovich got nominated. Eastwood, as good as he was, he can do even better than that. Just look at Unforgiven or $1 Million Baby. Jeez, there's a lot of roles of his. I haven't even seen some of his westerns. He's got so many movies, it's ridiculous. But I agree with you. I think the strength in the screenplay lied in the dialogue, mainly between Eastwood and Malkovich. There was some stuff that they did that was really clever. There was a few parts even for me. I was like, I agree with you. It was almost like to keep the tension going, they made the scene quicker than I think it even should have been. But it's like, I don't know. I guess they didn't want him like perusing the room for very long because Malkovich was about ready to kill the president, so they had to speed it up. But there was a few other things in that sequence. It might have been better if they dragged it out a few more minutes, actually, where he's looking for Malkovich and he's like, he's supposed to be at the airport, all that stuff. Like, I just watched and it's kind of a blur. Like, even though the movie was long, I think it might have been better than without a few scenes in the first half, because I thought the second half of the movie was better than the first. I don't know how you felt. Like, there was some good, the phone dialogue scenes were great in the first half, but that's really the only thing that happens other than Eastwood gets back in the fields because he has to, and Malkovich kills the 2 women. There's like not actually a lot of stuff other than the building romance, and it builds towards the ending with like, the whole thing about Malkovich just keeps messing with Eastwood, like, would you dived in front, like, and you see it later on, he saves himself, but I mean, he was really just getting his gun out to shoot him when he's holding him from the ledge. They keep kind of hinting at that. That's the only like foreshadowing that happens. I feel like they could have cut like 10 to 15 minutes out there and done something else in the second half of the movie. Just a little bit of, it's not pacing necessarily, it's just like decisions that might have made it better. Like when I think of Crimson Tide, I don't know what you would have cut out the first half because you needed those interactions with Denzel and man, I'm tired. His name's eluding me. Gene Hackman. You needed those interactions, or else the payoff wouldn't have been as good. You know what I mean? So you got to keep those scenes, but like maybe you said, maybe a little bit less of the Rene Russo stuff, even though I liked it. Maybe a little bit more in the second half of them figuring it out just for a few more minutes might have been even better. Because it was a little, as great as it was really straightforward. It was just done efficiently, Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would have appreciated more development of his buddy cop guy, whatever that guy's name was, his partner.
Yeah, I like that stuff. Dylan McDermott.
And less of Rene Russo, because I don't know, like clear that guy. You're supposed to care about that guy. Like he ends up getting killed at some point, and he's like, "Oh, my partner died," but he didn't really seem that broken up about it. Like he goes to the bar and he has a drink, and he's not sad, or I don't know. I mean, I guess that was the time period. It's like guys don't cry. You just your partner's dead, and you're just like, well, all right, that's a shame.
I did appreciate that he felt comfortable enough with Rene Russo because you could tell they were kind of falling for each other, that he cries later. You see that emotion from him in that one scene when they take him off it, because he wants so badly to make amends for what happened 30 years ago. That was the one thing that the building towards, not just, is he going to actually kill the president, Malkovich, but I appreciated that emotional aspect for Eastwood's character. I kind of liked it. Like, that's what's driving him the whole movie, and then he just retires after because he wanted to make amends, and then it kind of allowed him to move on with his life. So I liked all that stuff. I agree with you. I would have cut, as much as I like the Russo stuff, I would have gave a few more scenes to the younger guy because he was pretty good. Their relationship worked as well. I think they could have done a little bit more with that. I agree with you. And it's funny because I actually like the Russo stuff, but I'm with you.
I was reading that they were trying to, well, I heard that there's like a Secret Service age limit where I think it's
really?
like 50, it's like 52 or something like that. And so they just don't want old people in the Secret Service for whatever, they're not going to be as physically fit or whatever. So they have an age limit. And so they were trying to cast somebody who was like 50 in this role originally to be just under the limit. So he could have been like 20 during the JFK assassination, and now he's 50. Something like that would have been the ideal. But they ended up with Clint Eastwood, who was like 63 or something. And so they're like, well, he's kind of too old, but we'll just go with it.
It's Clint Eastwood. If anybody's going to be able to pull it off, it's Clint Eastwood. And they played the age thing, but I bought Eastwood in this. Like, he just did Unforgiven the year before that, and then he still went on to go do some fantastic movies in his 60s and 70s and even 80s. But I like that they didn't do what they do now, because that age, ironically, is pretty much the age. It's the age Tom Cruise is now, but he just dyes his hair and refuses to acknowledge it. I kind of appreciate that he's got, graying white hair, and they play into it, and you can tell he's really struggling physically to do it, but he's so driven and he's very smart. And Malkovich's mistake was that he arrogantly thought he was going to win no matter what. And he said some things that allowed Eastwood to piece it together. Like the Minnesota thing, that was very clever. He says that, and that was one of the things he caught when he went to the bank later on, about after the girls got murdered. That kind of clued him in that, he is actually there. He's not, he already knew it, but he had to be able to prove it because they weren't going to just go with his gut anymore. I hated the kind of cliche thing, and maybe they played into it too much with how he made a couple mistakes and they take him off the case. That crap was annoying because it happens. It's kind of a cliche where it happens in movies with cops, usually not Secret Service agents very often, because there's not a lot of movies I think we've seen about Secret Service agents. But I don't know.
Right.
Did you think that was a
Like
little
when he
done too
uh,
much?
like when he had the fever and he yelled gun or whatever.
Yeah, and then they're like, "You're
And then
young to
later,
detail."
yeah, later he like grabs a busboy or something in the hotel, and I think that's one of those two is what gets him kicked out.
Oh yeah, he physically assaulted the busboy. Like
Right.
nowadays, I don't think you. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what Secret Service agents are allowed to get away with, but I mean, he grabs the guy, punches him, and he throws him against the wall. I don't think you could like do that in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, I assume you would probably grab whoever you suspected, but you wouldn't be that rough. Like it was
Yeah,
on, I don't know. He just immediately shoves him up against a wall.
1993, man. 1993. Apparently, you could
I
get
don't
away with a
know.
lot of stuff in '93. I don't think our parents were making it all up.
2025, I think there's a lot of stuff happening too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Different stuff. Different stuff.
Mhm.
Um, I hinted at this earlier. I think one of the strengths in the movie was the dialogue. They bring back scenes. They bring back lines that was really things. Like he says, one of my favorite things, Clint Eastwood's like, I know things about people. And he says it like 4 or 5 times throughout the movie. I thought that was clever. Um, him and Malkovich, the stuff they say to each other, and then he throws it back in his face at the end. He's like, grab my hand. Because, earlier in the movie, uh, Malkovich actually chooses to save Eastwood. He didn't have to, but he wanted to keep Eastwood in the game, thinking that he was going to win no matter what. And then he gets to throw it back in his face at the end. He says, grab my hand or you're going to die. I like that there was a few instances of that where a line was used multiple times, but I thought to really good effect for the most part.
What do you
What'd you
think
think?
Eastwood would have? What do you think Eastwood would have done if Malkovich would have grabbed his hand? Actually saved him?
Yes, I actually think he would have, don't you? Like, even though he hated this guy, I think morally he wanted to do what was right, and that was what I appreciated about his character so much. He, I mean, they just kind of hint at it, but you see it in his character that he loses his wife. I actually could have done with maybe a scene or two with the estranged wife and daughter. That might have actually added a little bit more to the movie, because they just talk about it. It might have been cool to see more of that, to see what drives his character even more. But I think Eastwood would have done it. The character that Eastwood was playing.
Yeah. I guess I wasn't sure
I mean, he says
because
he's his damn job. He even says it. So
yeah. So okay, so in my mindset, earlier in the movie, when he's hanging for his to die or whatever, and John
yeah,
Malkovich saves him. He pulls his gun out. He could have killed Malkovich. He probably, let's just assume the worst case, he would have died himself. He would have like sacrificed himself in the name of killing both of them.
yeah.
Maybe he would have just broken his legs and he maybe would have been okay. I don't know. But
I don't know. At
anyways,
his age, that fall, he might have just bit it.
yeah, okay.
It
But
was. It
whatever.
was at least. Yeah, it was a pretty big fall.
I just saw it as like, okay, in his character's mind, he blew it 30 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and clearly his whole thing is a redemption. I thought maybe, I mean, we weren't at the end of the movie yet, so I knew that it wasn't you. You see that you have 30, 45 minutes left, he's not going to do it. But
Yeah,
barring
you're
that,
like, that'd be a
it's like,
boring end of
oh,
the movie.
maybe this character will sacrifice himself to just take this guy out, but he doesn't, right? So then Malkovich was all like, "Oh, maybe you care about your own life more than the president's life," or whatever how he phrases it, right? And so
Yeah.
then later in the movie, he's sort of like, "Well, this time I could drop him, and I won't die."
I'm kicking a cold. I've been had a cough for a week.
No worries.
It's funny. I thought a feeling you were going to bring this up. Like I love Brad. I've known so people that are watching this. I've known Brad for 25 years, and great person. But I knew that you were going to bring that up. That he could just let him go. He's caused him a lot of pain and suffering. He's been a real jerk to him. He's brought up a lot of stuff that he had to replay in front of Secret Service agents, and he knew he was going to have to. He was trying to dig at him I think Malkovich wanted to see what Eastwood was made of. He didn't realize that he was made of the right stuff to stop him. I think Malkovich severely underestimated Eastwood. And I mean, he's older, but he underestimated his mind and his resolve because that was the only thing that got him through here. That's what I appreciated. It wasn't his body. I mean, his body had just enough left. He was just so damn determined to get it done and to not let it happen again because
Mhm.
in hindsight, like he could blame himself, but the president still got shot the first time. Maybe he only gets shot once, but likely he did almost everything that you probably could have done the first time. Maybe he should have reacted a little quicker after the first shot, but this time he was ahead of the game, and it was his experience that carried him. I like that part of the movie that they took in. You said they could have got a guy in his 50. I appreciate that they got Eastwood, who was like 60, like probably 2 when they filmed it. So age was a problem for him, but I appreciated that they hint at it. Why do you have to be there? Russo kept asking. And he's like, I've seen him. I know this guy because he's the one talking to him. And he knew that he was serious. What disappointed me was that old cliche that nobody else believed him other than Russo, sort of. Everybody else thought he was just over the hill and was wrong about this guy. And that was fairly disappointing that everybody else didn't take it so seriously.
The only guy who I think didn't take it seriously was the chief of staff.
Yeah.
I don't think it's his boss. He explicitly says at some point, I don't work for him. But anyway, the chief of staff.
He definitely didn't think he worked for him.
Right. Because the chief of staff is more concerned about the votes, right? For the chief of staff of the president is like, okay, we're behind in the polls. We need to get out there and work the room and whatever. And that's
optics.
Most important. And just dealing with this protection detail is just, it's a mandatory overhead, but we got to deal with, we can't let this dictate, right? So that's his whole thing. And then everybody else that's on the Secret Service seems to be more of, we'll take this seriously, but we don't need Clint Eastwood specifically. Like, we'll just deal with this ourselves. And honestly, I can see their perspective because I know that the bad guy was infatuated with Clint Eastwood, but if they would have...
He was.
And obviously that makes for a good movie. But as the Secret Service, it's like, do we really need the guy that the bad guy's infatuated with to be leading the investigation? I don't think you do. Like, he's too involved.
Probably true, but he was, but he got it done. I mean, you got to appreciate that he got it done in the end.
Yes,
I did like the thing. He's like, I'm always honest to you, and Eastwood even says that. He's like, he wouldn't lie to me, and they're like, oh, I'm happy you got so close. And it's like, he's like, but I know this guy. He's not lying. He's there, and he was right. That was kind of the interactions. Built a lot towards the movie.
So you're touching on one of the things I kind of enjoyed about Malkovich's character, which I don't think he cared that he succeeded as much as the experience of the game, or whatever he called it.
I agree. Right? I think that mattered to him more than actually his end goal.
Yeah, because he didn't have to interact with Clint Eastwood at all. Every single phone call was initiated by the bad guy. So it's like, if his main goal was to succeed in his assassination, he never should have called Clint Eastwood. But I think he was, and because earlier you're saying he was so confident he knew he was going to win, and I think if he predicted it, he would have thought, more than likely I'll win. But I don't think he knew it was. He wasn't so confident that it was guaranteed. He was just like, this is what makes it fun, is that there's a risk. It's like hunting or whatever.
It's a game. It was a game to him, and that was the only thing I think he was living for at that point, because they should have gotten more into his background, but they were trying to keep him a supporting character, not the main character of the movie. But I agree with you. I think that was the only thing he was living for, was the game and his end goal of trying to assassinate the president. But in that order.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't think he even realized it was happening. I think he was enjoying the game, but I don't know if he knew he was going to enjoy that aspect of it as much as he did. And he got kind of caught up in it.
Yeah. Because that's one of their
that's part of the movie.
It's one of their first phone calls. It seems like the bad guy had this idea to assassinate the president just to feel something. Like he had, I don't know, apparently he was an assassin for the government, but now he'd lost faith or something. He's just a shell of a person, and he just decides, what's the hardest target? I think his goal was like, what's the hardest mark you could possibly have? Well, the president of the United States is probably the most protected human in the world, so I'll try to take him out, and I think I can do it, because he says at some point, like, I'm smart and I have a will to do it, or something like that, and that's all it takes.
He's like, I have the resolve and I'm smart, something like that.
Right. And so I think that was his original plan, was just, that's how I'm going to do a thing, and that's how I'll go out or feel something. And then, just as like a cherry on top, he sees Clint Eastwood, and suddenly he's like, "Oh, sweet! There's this other interesting detail here." He just starts deciding to call him every day.
And I think he thought he connected with him, and that was the strength of the movie. It was those phone calls and those interactions. Without that, I don't know what the movie would have been, but it was so, like, every movie's got something that makes it great or makes it good-ish, like you said. And I think this really helped carry the movie because there was I mean, I got to count them again, but I think there's like 7 or 8 phone calls. So it wasn't just happening like once every hour. You were getting it like every 15 minutes. But then you started getting some other interactions with uh Malkovich's character. Even if he's just watching Eastwood, it's interesting when he goes after the women. His interactions with anybody in the movie, he dives into the character so, like, he just becomes the character, and it's such an engaging role that to me it made the movie borderline great because it was such an awesome Malkovich role. Like when I watched Con Air, that's what you like. You're like, oh, this guy plays a pretty good villain. And I know he's done it in some other movies. I've seen a lot of John Malkovich movies, but now I see how he got going in his career because he had a run in the early 90s. Yeah, the pairing of the two too was pretty smart. I don't know who else could have played the Eastwood role bouncing off of him so well at that age, at that time. I don't know who else could have done that. So, and I don't think there's anybody else that could have played the Malkovich role the way he did. So, like, who else is going to play a 60-something-year-old Secret Service agent, pull it off, flirting with women, running after the bad guy, but actually pull it off? And then who else could play that villain role? I think at night in 1993, I don't think there's another actor that could have played those two roles. The Fugitive was a completely different movie, which I want to do in the future, but we both have seen that one. That one will have to break the mold. But and The Fugitive's the same year. That's why I bring it up. It was like later that summer. Some stuff I didn't do in the beginning this time. Sorry for the listeners. This movie became an unexpected box office hit. Got 15 million its opening weekend, but Clint Eastwood was a box office draw then. It was actually one of the first movies ever to have a trailer made available online on AOL. It was downloaded only 170 times in a week and a half. Now that number would look like that's like one of my shows that, like, for a movie that'd be terrible. But it ended up making over 100 million in the United States, North America, 85 mil, made 187 on a budget of 40 mil. Pretty good. Clint Eastwood was on a run right there. He did. He's had a long freaking career, but Eastwood had just done Unforgiven. I don't feel like this is one of his top even 5 roles, but I still appreciate it. I think it's a fun movie. He had just come off Unforgiven. Then he goes into A Perfect World. Kind of takes a little bit of a break. He does some weird stuff in the mid 90s. Then he kind of comes back in the early 2000s with Space Cowboys, Blood Work, $1 Million Baby, directs Mystic River, gets into directing. So he was at a point in his career, he was still a box office draw. He'd done a lot of stuff in the 80s, and 70s and 60s. So he was still a box office draw. I feel like for John Malkovich, I could be wrong here, but I feel like this is when he was just starting to come into the, like, I've never seen Empire of the Sun, but he made Of Mice and Men just right before that. I feel like this is when he was really coming into his own. Now that you've seen this, what's the Malkovich role that you think of? Like, when you first think of one? This is going to be one of mine now, but what do you think? Long-winded question. I was trying to hit their filmography. I was meant to do it in the beginning.
I don't know what else he's in.
He
One of the
did
more modern things.
He did Con Air. He did Being John Malkovich. He did Knockaround Guys, if you've ever seen that, with that's a smaller role. He did Adaptation, which I actually haven't seen. I need to see that movie. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Red. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Yep. Red. Jonah Hex, which was good. He was in Warm Bodies, Red 2, Deepwater Horizon, which I need to see that movie as well. Yeah, I'm thinking Red too. Red and Con Air are mine, but Of Mice and Men, if you remember watching that one. Dangerous Liaisons, I need to see that one. He is supposed to be really good in that movie. That's like one of the first Uma Thurman roles. Glenn Close, he's got some that I haven't seen. I need to see that one. And yeah, that's supposed to be one of his best. And Empire of the Sun. It's a Steven Spielberg movie. I heard he's really good in that one too. Um, but I feel like this was one of his first big blockbuster hits. Okay, so I think this is an easy question. If you had to pick who won the movie, I mean, is it the director? Is it Eastwood? Or is it, I think it's, we've talked about Malkovich so much here. Like, I love
MVP.
Eastwood. The problem with Eastwood is I've seen him in a similar role do it even better, as good as he was. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he was kind of playing a
I don't
role
know.
I'd seen him play like 5 to 10 other times at least.
Yeah, kind of.
Just a little different.
Some sort of law enforcement, something or other.
Yeah, like
Good
the Dirty
guy.
Harrys. Yeah, he did the Fistful. He did the Dirty Harrys. He did the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, the Fistful of Dollars trilogy. He did all the westerns. This isn't too far off from that.
Right. And in the beginning of the movie, when he's like undercover, he has like the 44 Magnum or whatever it is that is the Dirty Harry gun. And
yeah, I kind of
it was only for the
little
undercover part. After that part's, you don't even really know what's going on, but he's clearly in some undercover thing with bad guys and kills them all. And that's immediately over.
I like that they get Tobin Bell for that scene, the guy from Saw, like pre-Saw. I kind of appreciate that little bit. Like 10 years before the Saw movies. But I like that little exchange at the beginning. It was a cool way to start the movie because you get to see how good he is at what he does. I appreciated that. I mean, he almost let his partner die with the bag over his head. I was like, okay, are you going to save his life now?
There's the thing about the bullets too. The bag thing, you're like assuming, oh, I guess he knows exactly how long the other guy can hold his breath before being dead. But then there's the gun thing.
Supposedly,
and they show him like holding the gun like this, and then you get the idea like, oh, he's weighing it. Like, no, it doesn't have bullets. Like, what's the chances a human could measure the bullets? Because there's that's a Clint Eastwood thing. It's like a trope, right? I don't remember what movie it is, but he's like, oh, you're thinking, did I fire 5 shots or 6?
Dirty Harry.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Do you feel lucky? Do you? Yeah. Punk.
So he's always got this like counting bullets thing going on.
So it was a little meta, but that's the strength of the movie to me was the dialogue there because he asked them about it later on, and the little interactions I thought made the movie unique because you don't see that even. I feel like movies from the 90s and 80s and even 2000s put a little more effort into the script than some movies do now. Not all. Like I Want You to See Sinners, but there's been some really good horror movies this year. But what I appreciated was all those little touches they put on the script. Like he's like, you knew the Dylan McDermott guys were always like, you knew that it had that many bullets. He's like, yeah.
Or it could have had one bullet.
It could have had one. He's like, his face, he like goes ghastly white. That's how I like Dylan McDermott in this movie. I felt like he was a little underused. He was fun. Like he was throwing a 99-mile-per-hour fastball and mostly just being a wuss, but he played the role well. And he stepped up when he had to. He started making some good cop decisions, other than just getting out of the field because he died. So that's unfortunate. But he gets the bad guy in his sights. He should have just taken the shot. But he also made some calls that got them on the track of him. It wasn't even Eastwood. He actually spearheaded that. I kind of like that. I just wish they made him a little bit more of a character, honestly.
He says something like, oh, we should get an artist illustration of the guy. And I thought Clint Eastwood,
make a good cop.
Clint Eastwood's character seems to me like he wouldn't have been so complimentary about that. He would have been more like, yeah, do it or something. I don't know. He was overly. He started to get maybe softer and fatherly more so than he seemed like in the beginning. I don't know.
I think so too, because he saw how they should have played more into it, but it was seriously affecting him. You should have seen more of that in the McDermott character, because when he says he's gonna quit, you don't see a ton of signs of that because they just don't give him enough dialogue.
Right. I guess getting back to the he didn't cry part, another aspect there was that his partner wanted to quit and said like, this is too much for me. Like at some
Okay, we had a little pause there. Brad had an internet issue. We're gonna go for a little bit longer.
Okay. So, okay, so he convinces him to stay.
Yeah,
Clint Eastwood convinces his partner to stay, and
yeah.
shortly thereafter, his partner
He's,
gets killed.
he's like, I
And
need you, bud. Yeah.
I felt like that should be another layer on his guilt, but they don't explore that at all.
They ran out of time in the movie because that happens at almost an hour and a half in the movie, and they had to resolve if if Malkovich's character is gonna succeed. So unfortunately, even though it was a cool chase scene, they didn't get to play into it enough because they ran out of time. Because otherwise, they would have had like a 2 hour. It was already like over 2 hours. They would have had like a almost 3 hour movie. So that was unfortunate that that happened then. I think it could have happened a little earlier in the movie, and then they might have had more time to play into the guilt aspect. Um, but I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you. I think they breezed over that a little bit too much. That happens in some movies. A character is supposed to be important, and then you get like 5 seconds of guilt, and then they just move on because there's no time in the movie. Kind of like, unfortunately, there's no time in life, but when somebody dies, you take more than 5 seconds to mourn their death if you have a heart. So, yeah, I'm sure it bothered him more than you get to see on camera, but it was a little unfortunate. I feel like that was a director mistake. Um, and I think that was one of the things that held the movie back a little bit was the screenplay lifted it and the directing was solid. But I think with like an even better director, you might have had like a classic movie. Like I thought it was pretty good. I'd give it like a B plus ish because I really liked the Malkovich and Eastwood stuff. I thought Eastwood was really good in this. I've seen him better, but that doesn't mean he wasn't still doing Clint Eastwood stuff that I appreciated. But I think in the hands of an even more effective director, even though he did a good job, I think you could have had like an epically great movie. But I still really, really, this is one of those. I'm a big fan of great acting, and I loved watching Eastwood and Malkovich go head to head. I thought it was a lot of fun. Um, I was hoping you'd appreciate that aspect of it because I know that's one of the reasons you like Crimson Tide is it's Gene Hackman and Denzel going head to head. So this is just a different mano y mano. I love those type of movies.
Mhm.
I wish there was more of them now. Honestly, I think they would still be box office hits. Um, I get the right two people in a movie. I think that you can have some fireworks. Um, so I kind of miss that we don't do movies like this as much anymore. I wish we had more of them, honestly.
Right. It I think maybe the idea of a singular, I don't know, singular heroes are always big in movies, even though it's not
Yeah.
realistic. But I
Yeah.
feel like maybe in the 90s we were movies were more into this singular hero concept, and now it's a little more team oriented in modern cinema. Um,
Yeah, because you get the Marvel crap and like I'm actually kind of off the Marvel I haven't even seen Fantastic Four because I'm just like I'll go see Avengers, but I'm just like kind of worn out with superhero stuff unless it's something new and interesting.
yeah, I just think it's in this movie they allude to like, oh, there's 290 other people protecting him or whatever. Like, you can
Yeah.
count on us. And then the movie basically the answer to that question is no, you can't. He was the only
No.
one who could save the president. Everybody else was useless. I don't know how I feel about that.
I agree. No, that's what I was saying. I was like, nobody else seemed capable other than Rene Russo a little bit, but like Eastwood should have been in charge of the whole damn thing because he did know what he was doing. And it's unfortunate that, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't want to get into political stuff. We can do that off camera. About like Secret Service stuff because there's some new stuff with that. But
And they had a
yeah,
system in the movie that was clearly the process that was supposed to have worked. Like, they had
yes.
photographs that all the service members were flipping through
But then you
as
see
they
the guy and he's
scanned the
looking at him
room.
and he sees him and he doesn't even because he's in a disguise and he's talking to somebody, he doesn't even stop and look at him. Like one
Right.
of the
Yeah.
guys is doing that.
And I was thinking, if there's, there's not just one guy. There was hundreds of people
Yes.
protecting this room, all with photographs of the possible
Yeah.
bad guys. I assume the other pictures were of other legitimate threats and not just random pictures because they were just some of the other pictures like, who's that? That person's not in this movie. And then you get to the one that's our guy. And you're like, yeah, that's him. Why aren't you just staring at that picture only? That's the only one that matters.
Oh, I like it. Um, Is there anybody else you would have put in the Clint Eastwood role? I said it earlier. I think that he was the right person for the job. At that age, at the time, is there anybody else you would have stuck in that role in 1993? Because like Harrison Ford would have been early 50s. I think he could have played it.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been a different movie though. So I'm trying to imagine. Harrison Ford's like the only one I can think of. He would have been 10 years younger, 12 years younger actually. He would have been 50, like on the dot. And he just played The Fugitive, so you know exactly what he would have looked like. That's the only other person I can think of. And that'd be kind of a fun little twist. What if Clint Eastwood would have played The Fugitive in The Fugitive, and Harrison Ford had been in this movie? I would have been really sad because I think both movies were right for the guys, but that would have been interesting if you did a little swap there.
Yeah, I think after you see a movie with a given actor, you
It's tough.
get
You
so
like,
so
yeah,
tied to that. Yeah, you're like, I
yeah.
can't imagine it. It's like, yeah, it would have felt very different, but it may have also been good. So I don't know.
I think other people could have played the Eastwood role, even though I like him. I don't think anybody else could have played the Malkovich role to the same effect.
Okay.
Personally, I've seen some other villains play effective villains, but at that time, that's the role. That's why he got nominated. I don't think anybody could have played it. While I love Eastwood and I think he made the role his own, I could picture other people in the role. It's like, you
Yeah.
know,
I
Mission
mean,
Impossible is Tom Cruise, but like, so that's like his role in Top Gun. But some of his other movies, other people could have played those roles to similar effect. So
yeah, I think Clint Eastwood brought a crotchetiness to it that other actors wouldn't have brought, right? But
exactly. That
it,
kind of
it would
added to
have
the movie.
it would have worked with Harrison Ford or somebody.
I can't think of any other names at that time. I think that would have been the right age bracket in the early 90s. That's like the only one I can think of was in Harrison Ford would have been significantly younger. Maybe I don't think I think Gene Hackman would have been. I mean, you saw him in Unforgiven. I don't think he could have played that role. The physical aspect needed. I think Eastwood was just in good enough shape. I can't think of really anybody else. I think it was pretty much those two. Maybe I'm probably missing it. People that watch, if you want to drop in this part. Um,
Who were the 50-year-old action stars from the 90s?
yeah,
I
no, I'm
don't
trying to
know.
like thinking like Robert Redford would have been ish in that age. I don't think Dustin Hoffman would have been right for the role. He's a good actor, but I can't see him playing that type of role. He would have been like in his mid 50s, right age, but I don't think. I mean, it might have worked, but I just can't really picture Dustin Hoffman doing that. He's better in comedies and dramas. So, yeah, I'm kind of running out of names. I'm not sure. Any other thoughts on the movie? I got a couple more things for you.
Um, not like
What would you give it? Like a 7 out of 10?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like
Well, that be
6
saw
or
it.
7ish, something like that. Anyway, I was thinking like, oh, in the 90s they probably needed like cleaner cut good guys versus bad guys and not shades of gray so much. So, if you have your
That's a good point.
protagonist drop the other guy out of the elevator, that sort of tarnishes his image, right? And you need to end the movie with like, our hero did it, not he murdered the bad guy. Is that good or not? I don't know.
You're really stuck on the fact they should have dropped him. I like
I
that.
know.
You're like, he should have just let him go. This guy is a piece of crap. He should just dropped him and let him fall the 10 stories. And oops, he just lost my grip. Uh-oh, bummer. He just fell. I
the
like that
bad
they
guy,
stuck to the character, but
the
of the
bad guys
movie.
just
But yeah,
accidentally falling to their death is a big thing from
oh,
90s
absolutely,
movies.
absolutely.
It turned out that the hotel that he fell
Mm-hmm.
off the elevator is also the
Mm-hmm.
same hotel that's near the end of True Lies.
Oh, it is.
When the horse
That's
is like
interesting.
walking around and they end up running through the hotel with the horse or whatever, and it's like, oh, okay, that's the same one, and it's like, I don't know. I was thinking about the movie The Game, when it's technically the good guy that falls and survives the fall. But anyway, so there's so many things where it's just people falling. Ah! And then if it's bad guys falling to their death, then your good guys can get away with not tarnishing their image because I don't know. I think the same thing happens in what's it called, the
I haven't seen
Christmas
True Lies
action
in a
movie.
minute. I gotta watch that. Christmas action movie.
Die Hard.
Die
Die
Hard?
Hard. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be talking
Eh,
about Die Hard, which we'll be
right.
doing on this. Even though we both have seen it 100 times, we're going to do it for sure.
And so, same story. The bad guy falls to his death, and then the
You
good
know
guy can
what's
just be the clean cut good
You know
guy.
what's funny? This. I'm happy I watched this movie today because I was crushing the Star Wars like all of them. I'm on the 9th one, and I watched them in order of like when they came out. So I crushed the original, the 4 episodes 4 through 6, and then I did 1 through 3. And now I'm on the sequels, and I'll hit the spinoffs soon. But I was just feeling watching Star Wars. I did I started the first one like back in May, and then I watched Empire like in early June, so it'd been a little bit. But I was in between like TV shows, so I was like, I'm gonna watch the Star Wars movies. Lynn just watched them, so I crushed them all. And I thought of you and Dave because I was like, we got to talk about The Last Jedi because I still have mixed feelings about it, but some of it's effective. But I wasn't even like really thinking about this movie until today. Like, and my daughter we just watched K-pop Demon Hunters, and I actually really liked it a lot. Have you seen it?
Yes, I've seen it
Okay,
multiple times.
I actually really liked it. It reminded me of like the feeling I got from watching the Spider-Man Across the Universe movies, Into the Universe, that were really really well done. Because that's
It's
like
Sony
where
Pictures, right? So it's the same
it
production.
actually is. You're right. It is Sony Pictures Animation. I
Mhm.
just, you know what? I hadn't even connected that dot until you said that. That's awesome. That's why we do this together. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie. It wasn't quite to those heights of the Spider-Man, either of them, but I really appreciated it. I thought it was a fun movie. My 6-year-old loved it. So I wasn't even like fully ready for this because I just watched K-pop for the first time on Sunday, and I've been wanting to rewatch it because I actually not only the soundtrack, but I thought it was a really well done movie. You know me well enough that any movie if it's well done, I don't care what genre it is. Like I've been wanting to catch a good horror for a while, and there's been a bunch that have come out. I've missed them, but I don't care genre if a movie is good. I just want to talk about it. So it could be Pixar hasn't come out with anything truly awesome for a little while now. So I appreciate that Sony's been on it. Sony Animation, thank you.
Mhm.
You're probably hating it because I bet your kiddos have watched it like 100 times. But
No, I'll get there. I'll get to the hate, but not yet. It's still new,
I'm
fresh
starting to
enough.
hate the soundtrack. It's stuck in my head, but it's catchy. So like I actually listen to it on my own now. I'm like, soda pop. Dang it, man. Okay, so Malkovich won the movie. I got a quote for you here, really quick.
Okay.
Somebody from the LA Times, he called it crisply entertaining. Malkovich's insinuating, carefully thought out delivery is in the same way an ideal foil for Eastwood's bluntly straightforward habits. In Eastwood, every part of this film trades so heavily on his presence that it is impossible to imagine it with anyone else in the starring role. And I kind of agree. Like, I was thinking about like Harrison Ford, but it's like you said it would have been a different movie entirely.
Yeah, I guess
I wonder how
whenever
well it would have worked too.
yeah, whenever Clint Eastwood was on screen, he's just sort of like, yeah, like I don't know if I was trying to say it, like he's just there, like being straight arrowed good
Mhm.
guy, sort of. Like he has this somewhat of a tainted backstory, I guess. Like, I mean, he probably of no fault of his own, the assassination happened.
Yeah.
Something about he became, I don't know, dedicated to his work so hard that he was a horrible husband and lost his marriage. I don't know. They don't really go into that, but that's sort of his like bad backstory. But
Yeah.
everything you actually see on screen is I'm not sure he does anything bad during the movie. Like it just seems like it's just,
He
oh yeah,
yells
he made some
gun when
mistakes in
he's
the past.
sick. He yells gun when he has the flu.
Yeah, I guess I meant morally
No,
wrong,
I know. I
something like
agree with
that.
you. Morally, he's straight. I mean, the worst thing he does is he dates another Secret Service agent. But I mean, I don't think anybody in the 90s cared. So
Right.
just saying, I don't think so. If you had to guess, what do you think this movie got on Rotten Tomatoes? 0 to 100.
Did people use Rotten Tomatoes in '93?
No,
I
but they
I
go
know
back
they
and do them.
I know retroactively.
I mean, it was only a few years away.
What'd you say the scale was?
0 to 100.
0 to 100. 78.
96.
Oh, no way.
It got a
That's
74 on Metacritic, which is actually pretty good. It says a straightforward thriller of the highest order. In the Line of Fire benefits from Wolfgang Petersen's top direction and charismatic performances from Clint Eastwood and John Malkovich. Robert Ebert gave it 3.5 out of 4. Most thrillers these days are about stunts and action. In the Line of Fire has a mind. Interesting. And like I said, it got a Best Supporting Actor nom, Best Original Screenplay, Best Film Editing nominations. No wins. They made a novelization of the book. Somebody wrote it in 9 days, apparently. So, President Bill Clinton at the time, he praised the film. The director Peterson wasn't sure if it would help or hurt it, so he didn't use the quotes to market the movie.
Apparently, the screenplay was written like 10 years before the movie was made, and he was just shopping it around. Finally got it made.
And you know what's weird is it was one of the few movies made after the late 60s that wasn't produced by his own company. He owned Malpaso Productions, which he'd been using since 1967. So he'd had it for over 25 years. For some reason, they didn't produce the movie. It was produced by Columbia and Castle Rock. So super weird. But I gotta ask, did you appreciate that they went back to the JFK element before we dip? I gotta know what you thought of that. Did you like that he was the last living agent from the JFK assassination? Did you think that added a wrinkle to the movie? Or did you think it was kind of like, how do I explain it? Exploitive? Like, I'm trying to think of the right word.
I'm okay with him needing a redemption arc. There was a line somewhere in the movie where he says, I mean, I don't like anything with Rene Russo, basically, but he says to her, "You're looking at a living legend. I'm the last active service member that was here for the assassination," or something like that. And like that was his argument for why she should do what he wants her to do, which is to put him on the advance party. And it's like, what? Like, I don't know if that's. I don't know if this idea that he's the most experienced because he was there for the assassination. Everybody in the movie acts like that's like a positive.
Well, I mean, not the heads, but
he must be the best because he has the most experience, or at least that's how he acts. I don't know.
That's how he acts. I feel like he's the only one that believes it, other than the dude under him and Russo a little bit. I don't feel like anybody else bought it for a while. His buddy like puts him back on the detail, but I feel like it's because it's his buddy. I think it's like you see it from Clint Eastwood's point of view that he believes it, but I don't know if anybody else by the end of the movie. I think he was the only one, and Malkovich, because otherwise he wouldn't have been talking to Frank, which is Clint Eastwood's character.
Right. I guess
so it was like the main people, but then nobody else seemed to buy it.
I guess that line bugs me because it's unclear to me if Clint Eastwood's character views it. I mostly think it was supposed to be a blemish on his life that he had to have a retribution for. That was mostly what they were selling to us, except for there was a few lines where they sort of act like, "Oh, I'm better because of it." And it's like, well, do you need to redeem yourself or not? I'm unclear.
I agree. I still enjoyed it, but the second time I didn't like it quite as much, but it was still. You'll have to watch Dog Day Afternoon on your own. Maybe we'll do that one day on here. I still think it's a good movie, but I'm happy I got you to watch this one because I thought, I was like, if you haven't seen it, I think you'll appreciate Malkovich enough to make it worth it, and Eastwood, because there's enough there. But I was like, I bet he won't like it quite as much as I do, but I really want to get his thoughts because I'm curious. Because like Crimson Tide, I think is awesome, but it's not like one of my top 5 movies, even though I love Denzel. I think it's one of your favorites. So it's good that we picked ones. I still really enjoy Crimson Tide because I really love Gene Hackman and I love Denzel. And I thought the tension in that is a little, even though this has to do with the assassination of the president, that has to do with blowing up the world. So, some pretty palpable tension. So I think my next pick may be Sinners. I'm gonna think about it. If you haven't seen that, that might be my next pick. What do you got for me? We don't have to stick with 90s. We could do that for a couple more rounds, but what you thinking? Have you thought about it yet?
No, this is probably not a pick, but I saw there's a 3rd installment. I don't even know when that comes out. Probably not for a while.
Oh shoot!
Knives Out series.
Oh, we could just do
Daniel
that.
Craig thing.
I don't think I'm going to be coming back this year, maybe. But I told the wife I was going to spend Christmas. This is supposed to be my year to spend Christmas here. And my dad might be coming out here for Thanksgiving. So I may not be back out to Phoenix till next year. So Yeah, Knives Out sounds great. Plus, it comes out in theaters, so we could go catch in theaters, or we could. That's not till late November, so we could rock out. We could get a couple done first.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have you watch Sinners because it's great, and if you've got one for me, in the meantime, we could knock out one in October or November because it doesn't come out
Right.
till like Thanksgiving. Knives Out. When I'm hearing it's good, I'm hearing it's really good.
Yeah, that's what I got the impression too. They like filmed it at some festival, right?
The TIFF Festival.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that stands for. The TIFF. This is a movie pod. I don't even know what this stuff is.
We got to brush up on our acronyms.
That was fun, man. Any other final thoughts on the movie?
Nope, that's it.
Guys, that was fun. A little bit longer than last time. Please go check this out. I actually haven't posted anything in a minute because football season, but we'll be back with another one in October. I've got a cruise. I don't know if we'll knock it out beforehand or after, but we'll be back with another one before Halloween for sure. I'm going to try to get Brad to watch Sinners, and we've got some more movies. We'll hit some new ones. So it looks like we're going to do Sinners and the Knives Out, some movies from this year. We'll be pulling in some people occasionally too. I think I want to pull in one of my buddies for a Marvel one in the future. Another buddy for a Star Wars one in the future. Brad knows who that is. Multiple Star Wars ones. But if you guys have thoughts on this podcast, please go drop them in the comments. I was really happy so many people watched the first one. We'll have full length ones like this once a month. But this is my buddy Brad. I'm Izac with Fun Football Pod. And this episode will be out. I'm going to probably put it out September 10th. So hope you all enjoy this episode. In the Line of Fire Fun Films Podcast. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks, Izac.